Every few years, a new technology quietly mints a brand new batch of millionaires. And it always seems to happen while the rest of the world is just sitting around arguing about whether it's actually real or not. Well, right now, in 2026, it is happening again right before our very eyes. In this explainer, we're going to explore exactly how AI is creating this next wave of wealth, where the money is actively going today, and where you actually still have time to get in. Because the truth is, the biggest financial opportunities, they never wait for a consensus. They happen out in the margins while everyone else is distracted. So here's the thing nobody really tells you about tech gold rushes. The money, it never actually comes from the technology itself. It's a massive historical pattern. While the general public debates the ethics, wonders if AI is just a passing fad, or simply gets distracted by the daily noise, a really small subset of people are quietly building immense wealth. It happens in the background by those who simply execute, while the masses are still trying to figure out what the technology even does. The real wealth comes from the people who figure out what to do with the tech before everyone else does. Just look at the progression over our recent history. 2008 gave us the App Store, right? Then 2013 brought us Bitcoin, and 2020 was the absolute explosion of TikTok creators. Well, now 2026 is the era of AI. And what's truly wild about this progression is the compression of time. This AI boom is happening vastly faster, and the window of opportunity is closing so much quicker than any of those previous three waves combined. If you missed out on the early App Store days or getting into Bitcoin way back in 2013, pay close attention, because this current wave is moving at warp speed and the early adopters are already pulling way ahead. So how exactly are people actually capitalizing on this? Well, there's this massive misconception out there. It's the difference between building the AI versus building with the AI. You might naturally think the biggest money is being made by brilliant engineers at places like OpenAI or Anthropic, but think back to the App Store. Apple didn't make most of the early millionaires. It was random developers building, frankly, silly soundboard fart apps and Flappy Bird clones. The real money comes from the fast-moving creators, the solo founders, and those automation agencies taking this raw technology and applying it to really unsexy problems. You do not need to build the AI. You need to build with it. Honestly, this is the ultimate mindset shift. You don't need a computer science degree, and you definitely don't need to know how to train a neural network. This opportunity is open to literally anyone watching this explainer right now. It is entirely about being an applicator, not an inventor. If you can identify a frustrating bottleneck or some tedious process in a business and just use an existing AI tool to solve it, you are in the game. The tools are already built for us. The wealth is in the application. All right, let's get highly practical here. There are 4 specific, totally actionable lanes of AI wealth execution where the money is actively flowing today. We're talking about automation, micro-SaaS, content, and shovels. Let's break down exactly what each of these looks like so you can see just how accessible this really is. By understanding these specific lanes, we can stop feeling overwhelmed by the broad, vague concept of AI and start looking at tangible, everyday business models that are working right now. Let's focus first on Lane 1, automation agencies. Right now, small local businesses are absolutely drowning in repetitive tasks. We're talking customer service, scheduling, endless follow-up emails. People are walking in and charging $2,000 to $10,000 to build simple, custom AI bots that handle those exact tasks. And the crazy part? These local businesses often have no idea this technology even exists yet. Then we have Lane 2, Micro-SaaS Tools. These are solo founders building tiny, highly specific AI tools. Think resume optimizers, contract summarizers, or niche AI calculators. They charge a simple $20 to $50 a month. That's one person working from a single laptop, launching tiny software tools, and sometimes pulling in 6 figures a year. Wild, right? Moving right along to Lane 3, AI content studios. This includes running faceless YouTube channels, generating AI-narrated explainer content, or building massive newsletter empires. AI slashes old production costs to almost zero and allows you to produce at literally 10 times the speed. You essentially become a one-person media empire overnight. Finally, we've got Lane 4, selling the shovels. This is all about creating courses, prompt libraries, templates, and consulting. Essentially, you're teaching other confused businesses how to use AI. There is a massive market of people out there who know they need AI but have absolutely no idea where to even begin. And this 4th lane is incredibly powerful for a very historical reason. In every gold rush, the people selling the shovels quietly outperform the miners. During the actual gold rush, the consistent fortunes weren't usually made by those digging in the dirt hoping to strike it rich. It was the merchants selling the pickaxes and the jeans. Today, selling the shovels, the education, the prompts, the consulting is often the absolute smartest, most stable play in the middle of all this technological chaos. You are simply capitalizing on the huge demand for the tools themselves. Notice what all four of those lanes have in common? None of them require you to be a machine learning engineer, not a single one. They just require you to act. The mantra for this era is super simple. Done beats perfect. The ultimate winner in 2026 isn't the smartest AI researcher sitting in some lab. It's the person who spots an annoying problem, executes, and ships an average idea this week. The fastest appliers win, hands down. The person who gets a working solution out the door today consistently beats the person who spends 6 months researching the perfect idea. But I do need to introduce a bit of tension here, because here's the uncomfortable truth. This window will not stay open forever. Think about the App Store again. In year one, a solo developer could build a simple, honestly kind of silly app over a single weekend and hit the front page. But by year 5, no way. You needed a whole studio, a massive budget, and a dedicated marketing team just to compete. Early, imperfect movers always win. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets to play. The barriers to entry naturally rise as any market matures. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. The gap closes every single month. Right now, there is a massive chasm between what AI is actually capable of doing and what everyday businesses have actually adopted. That gap is exactly where all this new wealth lives. But with every passing month, that gap shrinks. We get more competition, more saturation, and more people catching on to the exact same tricks. The people who move right now, even if they do it imperfectly, are the ones who are going to look back on 2026 the exact same way early Bitcoin buyers look back on 2013.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most important question. Which lane are you starting in today? Automation, micro-SaaS, content, or shovels? You do not need to try and predict the complex future of AI. You just need to stop watching from the sidelines. The wealth is being built in the gap between the technology's capability and the world's adoption of it. Which side of that gap will you be on? Pick your lane, get to work, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.